That was kind of a major complaint that I had with this company. Let's get into the tea. Hi everyone, Brittany here from Just Be Crafty. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, thank you so much for coming back. In today's video, I am going to be spilling the tea on my experience working as a pattern designer for a major yarn company. There were good parts of the experience, and then there were some definitely parts that were left to be desired, and I'm just sharing my experience and thought it would be fun to chat about it today. This video isn't meant to be disparaging to anyone. I'm not going to name any names. So it basically all started with a call from the company, I think on one of their social media platforms. They were looking for freelance pattern designers, which basically means you weren't an employee of the company. You're just kind of basically as a freelancer would. They were looking for knit and crochet pattern designers that could design a pattern for them that they could have on their website, and then you were still free to do whatever you wanted with your pattern. So it was really kind of like a win-win for everyone involved. And so they did a call looking for designers, and so I applied, and I was super excited when I found out that I was accepted into the program. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This happened shortly right after I quit my full-time job to pursue designing full-time. So I was incredibly excited at this opportunity to get paid for, designing, and it was incredibly exciting. In another video, I share a little bit about advice I'd give myself back when I quit my job to do this full-time. And so if you're interested in that, I'll have it linked up here and in the description box below if you're interested in checking that out. But anyway, I was so excited to be accepted into the program. I couldn't wait to get started. They had a specific, I think, color that they were going with for the year, and they also had kind of like, I don't want to go into specifics, but they were looking for a specific theme, and they were kind of looking for smaller accessories like scarves, hats, things like that, that incorporated this certain theme in this certain color. So I came up with a design and submitted it to them, and they really liked it. I think I submitted two, and I drew them up. I drew them up on a little piece of paper and scanned it into the computer, so I could, turn it into a little PDF so I could email it to them, and they liked it. And they picked the one design over the other and sent me the yarn, and I was super excited to get started. So I basically made all of it up, and I had no idea how much I was going to get paid. And when you are newly, quit your job, and you're, I'm a blogger, a YouTuber, and I have an Etsy shop. That's what I do. And kind of almost like you're a freelance writer in a way. That's kind of how, probably more like a freelance artist. And I can tell you that probably most freelance artists aren't going to just take some sort of job and not know how much you're going to get paid for it. And I don't know, I felt shy and felt, I didn't feel comfortable asking how much I was going to get paid. And I remember telling, people in my life about it, and they were like, well, what are you going to get paid? And I was like, I don't know. And I felt so silly for not knowing, but it's that's something that you do need to know before committing to making a design for another company that can then use your design basically however they see fit. It's funny because that is actually a piece of advice that I would tell myself, and I didn't include it in that video that I just talked about. But anyway, so I had no idea, I think, until after I submitted it in, and then they told me the price, and I was happy with the price. They didn't give me any sort of feedback. That was kind of a major complaint that I had with this company. There wasn't a whole lot of, they advertised that there would be a lot of collaboration, a lot of opportunity. I was interested in maybe, getting signed on to be a contracted designer for them. And maybe they do that for other designers. I don't know, but that was an opportunity that they would say, oh yeah, we'll ask about it. And then, would never get back to me. And that, that's fine. I totally get that. But there definitely wasn't a whole lot of collaboration. So basically they would kind of tell me what they were looking for. I would submit a couple ideas to them. They would pick an idea and then either tell me the yarn, or I would pick out the yarn and they would send me the yarn. I would basically, off of my drawings, I would design it, photograph it, write up the pattern in a way that made sense to not just me, but other people trying to look at the pattern. And then I would send it back. And a lot of times I would just hear crickets from them. I wouldn't hear, this would be, and this is a lot of work. We're talking about at least, you know, for a scarf, that's at least 40 hours worth of work between planning out the design, knitting or crocheting it up, writing out the directions, doing photography, edits, all of that. That on a small project, that is at least 40 hours worth of work. So anything bigger than that, you're looking at, you know, upwards of 80 or more hours for this work. And so as a new, I guess I wasn't a new pattern designer, but kind of new to having this be my full-time job, I was really looking forward to having some sort of discussion or collaboration, some kind of like feedback, I guess, from the company, whether it be constructive criticism or that's great, or I don't know, but just kind of some sort of like conversation maybe. And I really wouldn't get anything. So I would just, because I would send in my invoice, and I also didn't get to keep the project. I had to mail that in as well. So a lot of times I would just get a check in the mail, and I wouldn't even get so much as like, oh, thanks. Like, I don't know what I was, I don't know. I don't want to sound like not gracious for the opportunity, but I guess I was looking for just like a little bit more kind of like an open dialogue with the company. I don't know. I think that's what I was looking for. That's what I was excited for. And that was definitely something that they talked about being, you know, as part of this wonderful opportunity to work for them. And I just felt like the communication was definitely left a lot more to be desired. And so I was a little disappointed with that. I think the extent of what feedback I got was like so cute, and you know, that was it. So, and that wasn't even every single time. I did multiple designs for them. I can't even tell you how many I did. It wasn't like a ton, but enough, I guess. I mean, it was over the span of a couple of years that I did this. So most of the times I just, you know, got the check in the mail, which I guess that's like the most important part. Another thing that was a little bit frustrating to me was there was a few times where, because I would send them the photography, where they would share the photography on their socials page. I was happy for them to share on their Instagram. That was so exciting for me to see it on their Instagram account, to see like my design on there, but they wouldn't tag me. And that might sound super petty for someone who doesn't do this full time. So let me just tell you so you can kind of understand. So I have a rather small Instagram following. So when they share something on their Instagram account, they have, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers on their account, right? So when they share it, a lot of people see it. And so the benefit to me of them sharing a photo of mine is for other people to see that it basically puts my design out in the world, and it's kind of like advertising. And it's advertising for them, but also advertising for me as well. So if they share a photo of mine and they tag me in it, then other people, maybe if they like that design, they would show them, they would maybe go to my account and see, oh, she designs patterns, and that, you know, and maybe they start following me and maybe they become one of my customers. So something like that is what would make this more mutually beneficial to both parties. So I'm kind of all over the place with this, but kind of basically going back to getting paid for the designs, if you go back and calculate my hourly wage for designing for this company, it was probably it was less than $2 an hour. It just was. And when you're doing this full time and it's taking away from like maybe another pattern that I would otherwise want to do, or other work, or maybe another company would want to sponsor me, it's taking away work from that. And for something to be mutually beneficial to both of us, it just, for basically getting paid less than $2 an hour, and then for them to share my photography that I would do for them and not kind of give me credit back for it on their Instagram account, was just like a little bit frustrating, and it really made the deal kind of not mutually beneficial to both of us, right? So that was frustrating. It was just kind of a lot of that for a couple of years, and it just kind of turned into something that it started to be just not worth my while. And so I'm curious if you're in a situation or maybe you've been in a situation like this, or if you are currently in a situation like this, I really encourage you to really evaluate what is worth your time and what's not. And what I found in this opportunity, that it just wasn't worth my while and wasn't beneficial enough to me to keep doing it. So I stopped. Another thing that was kind of frustrating to me was that they told me that one of my designs was going to be featured in a magazine. And so to hear that as someone who, you know, who's kind of new at the game, you know, freshly doing this full time, it really makes you feel accomplished, and that's incredibly exciting and such a high honor to have your design featured in a magazine. And so of course I was so excited to hear that from them. I of course, you know, told my family and stuff, and they were very excited for me as well, and everyone was asking me, oh, when's it gonna be in the magazine? And I was like, oh, it's coming up this month. And so the month issue came and went, it wasn't there. And then, you know, I followed up with the person that I worked with at the yarn company and said, oh, hey, you know, the design wasn't in this issue. Do you know if it was dropped or if it's coming? And she said, oh no, it's definitely going to be in the next issue. And so I was like, okay. And then I waited for the next issue, and the next issue didn't come. And then I think it was like an issue after that. And I don't know, it just kind of kept stringing me along, and that was not to the fault of the yarn company at all. I guess what was frustrating is, I don't know, it was just kind of disappointing. And so that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and that was not their fault at all, but it was just kind of frustrating. The takeaways that I did take from it, I do think that it was a good experience. It was really fun to say that, you know, I did collaborate with a large yarn company. So that was a lot of fun. I feel like with their pattern calls, it did help me to kind of think about designing in a different way, especially if they had a specific theme or a specific yarn that they wanted to use. I really think that it helped me jump out of my creative box, so to speak, and really kind of helped me come up with designs that I wouldn't have otherwise come up with. So I think that was incredibly beneficial. I think it also taught me how to maybe approach negotiating or working with other companies in the future. And I think it has helped me currently working with other companies and really kind of evaluating what is worth my time, what is not, what I can do and what I can't do, and also how I want to collaborate with other companies moving forward. So I definitely learned a lot. My advice for them, or maybe you're a yarn company who wants to work with designers, and you could take it with a grain of salt, would be to have probably better communication, give feedback, whether it's constructive or otherwise. Give some sort of feedback when a designer puts in 40, 80 more hours. I mean, it might, to the other end, a scarf and the photography and pattern for a scarf or a hat might not seem like a large amount of time when in it. If you're not the one designing it or knitting it or crocheting it, you might not realize the scope that project actually is and how many hours go into that. So if a designer is spending full-time job hours on a project for you, even if you are paying them, I highly suggest giving some sort of feedback, and probably a little bit more than like a 2-word response. Basically make that designer feel a little bit more valued. That would be a huge thing. And also, if you share their images on Instagram, maybe tag them in it, so that is beneficial to the designer, a small independent designer as well. Because remember, you're a big company, and you know, us designers, we're just the little guys. So those would be my two kind of huge takeaways, kind of my pieces of advice for a large company looking to work with a knit and crochet designer. But anyway, it was kind of fun to just talk about something a little bit different today. Are you a knit or crochet pattern wear designer? Do you have experience or tea to spill about working with a yarn company? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it in the comments below. I'd love to see it in a video. If you make a video, make sure you tag me, or I guess, I don't know, on YouTube, I don't know if you can tag me, but let me know if you make one in the comments below and link it, because I would absolutely love to see it. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, make sure you give the video a thumbs up so I know to keep making videos like this. And if you haven't already and would like to, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a new video. Thank you so much for watching.